Welcome to the Crazy Chicken People podcast. If you're crazy about chickens, then you're in the right place. Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Crazy Chicken People podcast. I'm your host, Thomas Xenos, and today we're going to talk about a topic that might seem a bit unusual to some, and that is bathing chickens. While the need to give a chicken a bath is pretty rare, there are some situations your chickens may eventually find themselves in that make it necessary. Helping your chickens to stay clean and maintain healthy feathers is an important aspect of caring for our feathered friends. And while they usually do a good job of this on their own, as long as we provide them a good place to take a dust bath, there could eventually come a time they need us to run a nice warm bath and give them the spa treatment. Although they may not find it as appealing as it sounds, at least not at first, it's commonly said that chickens don't like getting wet, and if you've ever tried to give a chicken a bath or seen them scatter when you spray down their run on a hot day, then you'd likely agree with this, as would many of your chickens. But it's not always the case. Chickens actually do have the ability to swim, at least for a short period of time, and there's some that really enjoy it. There's also plenty that don't want to get anywhere near the water, as you've probably seen when it's raining out. There's also plenty that don't want to get anywhere near the water. You've probably seen that when it's raining out, you'll have some of your chickens out there splashing around in puddles, maybe looking for worms that are coming up out of the ground, and others that will run as fast as they can to avoid it. Whether your chickens run and hide at the first sign of a shower, or you've got members of your flock that totally love to play in the rain, it's important to remember that chickens keep themselves clean by rolling around and flapping in nice, fine, dry dirt, or in a mix of dirt, ash, diatomaceous earth, whatever you may have found to set them up with a place to take those dust baths that are so important to their well-being. Those occasional showers they may take for fun just don't do anything to help them stay clean and can actually cause them some discomfort if they get themselves too wet before a cool evening. Even worse, a wet chicken on a really cold night can lead to some serious problems and even death. So if you do have a chicken that likes to play in the rain, it's a really good idea to keep an eye on her this time of year and just make sure that she's not going into that coop at night with wet feathers. And the same would be true if you just gave your chicken a bath, even a warm bath. You still want to make sure that that chicken is at least pretty dry before going to bed. So when exactly does your chicken need to take a water bath instead of one in the dirt? Well, that's what we're going to find out today. But before we get into the when and how, we should have a good understanding about how a chicken uses the tools it was born with to stay clean on their own. As I mentioned, dust bathing is the primary way a chicken will clean themselves, and the most important. And if you've ever watched this before, you know it's something that they really enjoy. As they roll around in that dry soil, flapping their wings and getting these little particles all over themselves, the excess oils or other unwanted junk that may have gotten caught in their feathers are absorbed and then knocked loose and go flying around with all the dust they're kicking up. This can also help them to shed any external parasites that they may have on their body, and really is the chicken's best self-defense against things like lice. Preening is another method that chickens use to stay clean and well-groomed. This is when they use their beaks to kind of arrange and clean up those feathers, ridding themselves of any dirt that might be in there, even pulling out some damaged feathers. They'll pick at any little critters that might be crawling around on them. They're even able to spread some of that natural oil that's produced by the uropical glands all around using their face and beak. I'm pretty sure I mispronounced that, and that's probably why they're often referred to as the preen glands. These are located down near the tail and produce the oils that help them keep water beating off of their feathers so that they can stay warm and dry when it is wet out. So with these methods chickens have to take care of their own hygiene, when or why would they need us to step in and help? Well, there's actually a number of issues that could mean it's bath time for your flock. The first one is pretty obvious: mud or really excessive dirt. If your chickens have been playing in the mud or gotten themselves into some especially dirty conditions, A bath might be in order to help prevent any skin issues from developing or even just discomfort. And sure, they'd be able to get most of that stuff off on their own eventually, but this could cause them to be really uncomfortable for a little while. They may end up giving themselves a skin irritation by overpreening, or if the weather is bad, even start to soak up a bunch of water because they have so much dirt or drying mud stuck to their feathers. And that mud that can get caked on or pressed into them can dry up and kind of lock their feathers together, which could create a whole other set of problems if they can't flap their wings properly. A sick or injured chicken may have a hard time keeping up on grooming, and if you find this to be the case with any of your birds, a gentle bath can really help them to feel better and prevent some of the secondary issues that could come up. Now, if they're not real dirty, you could treat them to a bath as more of a relaxation experience for them. Maybe not putting so much effort into the feather scrubbing, which they may not love anyways, and instead just help them to feel really comfortable. Some Epsom salt in there can help provide a little bit of relief if they're dealing with pain or maybe recovering from an injury. This is actually similar to the treatment you might try if they're egg bound. This relaxing sensation can help to just kind of loosen things up when an egg gets stuck. Now, there's a little bit more to it than that, and it's probably a topic that deserves its own full episode to really cover in depth. Another issue that might need a bath is poopy butt, or vent pasting if you want to get technical. This is really common with very young chicks. They just seem prone to getting some dried up poop stuck to those little feathers. Now, that can build up and in some cases actually prevent them from being able to poop. It can become a serious situation pretty quickly, and it can even lead to death if it's not taken care of. The good news is that a bath isn't really needed in their case, and you can usually get by with just holding that little butt under some warm running water until the poop softens up enough that it can really easily be broken up with some gentle rubbing. It is important that you don't try to just pull it off. That can actually cause some feathers or even skin to get ripped off of that little chick. You want to just let the water take care of it as best you can. You're just kind of gently rubbing at it with your fingers until it just keeps flowing off, and then make sure you get them really good and dried up. I usually try to keep some kind of a soft cloth close by just to press it up against their butt, and then you just want to soak up everything you can. There has been some times I've had to press that poop butt up against my shirt. I can remember seeing a little chick with its butt all covered in poop, and I just rushed to get them to the closest sink that had hot water. So that's why the shirt ended up as a drying towel. And then once you've got them all taken care of, you just want to keep a close eye on them after that. In my experience, after the first time that you clean them up from poopy butt, they seem prone to getting it again really quickly. It's like it's something with how their feathers dry that just seem to catch the poop. So you want to keep an eye out for that for the next couple of weeks, probably. Now, all that was to get me to the point that this can also happen with your mature chickens. I'd say it's not nearly as common. Myself, I've only had to give 2 chickens a bath for this reason, but the process is pretty similar. The difference being that you'd have a really hard time holding a grown chicken's butt under running water long enough to loosen up the poop, and you'd both probably end up pretty soaked by the end of it anyways. So you might as well just get her in the bathtub where she'll hopefully be more comfortable, and you can give her a good full cleaning while she's in there. And it may be that you need to clean some poop off someplace besides her butt. I would guess that I'm not the only person to find that one of their chickens found themselves directly under the butt of another one of their flock mates and got some poop on them. Now, depending on where that poop hit them, it may have gotten underneath or just kind of soaked down into their feathers, gotten down close to their skin. And while they'd eventually be able to get this off themselves with preening and dust bathing, poop that gets stuck to your chicken's feathers or the skin is just not what you or your girls want. And it's kind of an invitation for something nasty to get in there and start developing. In fact, this can be really dangerous around their vent if they do get a buildup of poop. It will create this environment where flies want to get in there and they'll lay their eggs, which hatch really quickly. I don't want to get graphic, but this is where fly strike can occur. This is a condition where those maggots hatch and they're going to try to start eating away at whatever they can find, usually finding their way to an open sore or the vent of your chicken. This is pretty bad stuff and it can be deadly. So very important to make sure your chicken's butts stay nice and clean. Okay, so now we've talked about why your chickens might need a bath, but what about the how? Part of that may depend on how your chicken reacts to a bath. If they enjoy it and they're happy to let you pamper them, it's going to be a lot easier, and you can probably do it someplace convenient, like in the kitchen sink or maybe in your bathtub. But if you know that your dirty bird is going to fight you on it, you might want to try to find something you can set up outside. A wet chicken trying to jump out of your kitchen sink while flapping its wings and shedding that water everywhere, probably trying to avoid being caught again, could make for some trouble. And although it would be pretty funny to watch, I think that where you bathe your chicken is a judgment call you'll have to make based on how well you know that particular bird. But once you decide where to set up this spa for them, you want to make sure to use some lukewarm water and in a shallow container. You don't want it to be too deep to the point where your chicken feels like it needs to try to swim or stay afloat. And ideally, you'd like to provide them some kind of a non-slip surface in there. I could just imagine if your chicken is fighting you anyways, trying to get out, all while her feet are sliding around, it's probably going to go bad. So once you're all set up, you can gently lower that chicken into the water. You want to hold her securely, but still gently as she gets used to the bath and starts to feel comfortable. There's no need to submerge her. The water's probably fine just coming up halfway on her or so, as long as you've got that affected area in the water and soaking. If that happens to be up on her back or the upper shoulder area, it might just mean that you're pouring water over her repeatedly, really soaking that area in. Now, depending on how dirty she is and what exactly you're trying to get off of her, this could determine if you need to use a shampoo or not. I'd probably try to avoid it if you're just trying to get some dirt or poop out of the feathers. Giving them a good soak and then loosening and rinsing all that away should do the job without having to use anything that would possibly strip that oil from her body and lead to some irritation. But if you do have something that's tougher to remove, you can use a mild chicken-safe shampoo. There's a few of these available, but I've never actually needed to use it, so I can't really recommend one. Now, I was looking for a chicken shampoo designed for if they get sprayed by a skunk, because we definitely have those around here and have had some run-ins with them. But the only thing I could find was the same thing we used on our dog, Rosie. It says that it's pet safe, but I'm not sure I'd put it on a chicken without doing a good bit of research first. Now, if you do decide to use a shampoo, it looks like most recommend keeping it away from the head and face and just concentrating on the body. Once your chicken is soaked long enough to get everything loosened up, some gentle scrubbing and lots of rinsing should get all that dirt, poop, whatever was stinking up your chicken out of there. Do be careful to not try and pull at anything that feels like it's stuck. You really want to avoid pulling out any feathers or damaging their skin. Just keep rinsing your girl with that clean, warm water, making sure that all the soap is washed away if you did have to use some. And then after the bath, it's really important to get your chicken all dried up. On a warm, sunny day, you can likely get away with just patting her down. She'll be able to shake off most of any water that's left, and then the warm sun should dry her up pretty good. But if it's wet out or it's cold, you really need to get her as dry as you can. Even going as far as using a blow dryer to get her all fluffy again if she'll let you, I think would be great. And that's it. If she goes along with the whole thing and seems to enjoy it, you might even use this opportunity to check the nails or the spurs, see if there's a trim needed. Just give her an overall health check while you've got her up close and make sure that she's in tip-top shape when she leaves the spa. Remember that it takes quite a mess to get to the point that your chickens need help getting clean. This is something that they're just really good at taking care of on their own as long as you've got them set up to do so. But understanding when and how to bathe your chickens can help you keep them healthy if the need comes up. As always, guys, I hope that you and your chickens are happy, healthy, having a great week. Look forward to talking to you all again soon. Take care.